Can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do for fun on the weekends when you're not working?
Um, that's exactly what I do. I take some time to I take some time to do self-care. I lay in bed really late. I might hang out with my friends. I love to do Latin dancing, so that's something that I do a lot.
Oh, very nice.
Very important to me.
Like, subscribe, and share to Voices of Linden TV.
Welcome to another edition of the wonderful Let's Talk show. I'm your host, Andrew James, and today I'm pleased to have with us in studio via Zoom, Miss Michelle Amsterdam. Miss Amsterdam is the founder of the Art of Wellbeing Counseling and Consulting practice located in beautiful downtown Georgetown, Guyana. Miss Amsterdam is also a therapist. I'm pleased to welcome Miss Michelle Amsterdam.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for having me on the program.
Miss Amsterdam, welcome to the show. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please, if you don't mind me sharing with us today?
Okay, Andrew. I'm originally from New Amsterdam, Berbice. So I'm a small town Berbice girl. I'm a Christian. I guess, that pretty much is central to my identity. Professionally, I am a therapist. I am a psychologist. I'm an educator, and I'm also the founder of the Art of Wellbeing Counseling and Consulting practice.
Wow, woman of many hats. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're offering at the Art of Wellbeing Counseling and Consulting practices, please?
Well, the Art of Wellbeing offers what's in the name, counseling. I also offer psychotherapy. Counseling is shorter term, psychotherapy is longer term. I also do mental health and psychosocial support sessions. And these services are provided to individuals, groups, families, and also companies.
Nicely said. Ms. Amsterdam, through your own lens, can you explain what's the meaning of self-care and why is it so important for people to take time out for themselves?
Okay, that is a very good question, Andrew. Self-care encompasses so many, different things. It includes, as you said, taking time for self. It includes pampering yourself. It includes setting boundaries, being able to know when to say no. It includes being able to have healthy relationships with other people.
Mm-hmm.
It includes, knowing when you need to relax, knowing when you need to love on yourself. And at the root of it, it's about respecting yourself. It's about having self-love. And it's about knowing, when to say no, when to pull back, and when to put yourself first.
Very nicely put. Earlier, you spoke about self-reflection. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it means to engage in self-reflection?
Self-reflection basically involves, taking a look back on your experiences. And self-reflection is very important because it allows us to be able to grow. If we go through life and we don't reflect on our experiences, then it might be a bit impossible to adjust where we need to. But going back and looking at your experiences, seeing where you may need to make adjustments, seeing what you learned from your various life experiences is important for growth. Mm-hmm. So self-reflection is very important to human well-being, and it's important in helping us to move from one stage to the next. Because think about it in this way. Think about a person who goes through life, does not self-reflect, does not learn anything from their experiences. It's easy to get stuck, It's easy to get stuck. When you reflect and look at what you did wrong, what you did right, what you need to change, what lessons you learned. So self-reflection is very important for growth. And that's just, one example or one thing that is very vital for.
Thank you, Ms. Amsterdam. For folks who wanted to get in touch with you, do you have a presence on Facebook, and do you have a contact number you're willing to share with us, please?
Yes, I have a Facebook page. It's the Art of Wellbeing CCP. The CCP stands for Counseling and Consulting Practice. It's very important that persons put in a CCP, because if they go searching for the Art of Wellbeing on Facebook, they probably will come up with a whole other arts of well-being on Facebook. So the CCP is important. All of my contact information is on the page, email address, and the phone number as well. But the number is 676-8557. And the email address is theartofwellbeinggy@gmail.com.
Very nicely said. Do you only cater for clients in Guyana, or do you accommodate clients all around the world?
I also have clients abroad. And I have been in contact with persons who've reached out to me for therapy who are not in Guyana. So persons abroad can feel free to contact me as well, because virtual sessions are available. And once the client is comfortable, then we can see how it goes, and that service is accessible.
Very nicely said. So folks, I guess in the diaspora who want to get in touch with Miss Amsterdam, our phone number is 592-676-8557. And you're available Monday to Friday, or you work weekends as well?
I'm available Monday to Friday, but there are some special instances in which I'll work on the weekend. But my regular hours are Monday to Friday.
So I guess the weekend is some time for you to do some self-reflection and some self-caring for yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do for fun on the weekends when you're not working?
That's exactly what I do. I take some time to do self-care. I lay in bed really late. I might hang out with my friends. I love to do Latin dancing, so that's something that I do a lot.
Oh, very nice.
Very important to me. So yeah, and also I use that time to connect with family, because normally during the week I don't speak to my family as much.
Right.
And I'm actually a bit of a loner.
Uh-oh.
Actually, I kind of like my space, even though I'm really social, but I also like my space. So I use that time to connect with my family and my friends, because mostly during the week, I just keep to myself because I'm involved, with working with clients, and that can be a lot. So on the week, I de-stress, I lay in bed late, I connect with family and friends. I try to, dance and stuff like that. Andrew, why are you laughing?
How good are you with this dancing?
I think I'm a pretty good dancer.
Okay.
Salsa is my favorite Latin dance.
Yes.
Bachata is a close second, but I really love salsa. So yeah, I think I'm a pretty good dancer.
Miss Amsterdam, COVID has changed the way the world operates and this and that, and there's so many different, it's affecting people in many different ways. What are you seeing a lot of different calls now based on COVID related?
What COVID did is actually heighten the mental health challenge that people already had. And for a lot of my clients, I'm seeing a lot of cases with depression and anxiety. But what COVID has done, it has just heightened those challenges. Mm-hmm. So yes, a lot of depression, anxiety, grief, because a lot of persons have died during this period. So grief, a lot of persons are going through grief, and a lot of relational issues, emotional conflict. So those are the cases that I'm seeing now. But in terms of COVID, I think COVID has just heightened what was already there. And now people have reached a point where, they feel as though their mental health is in crisis, and they've started reaching out because it's to a heightened level that they can't, they can't control. Mm-hmm. So now they started to reach out. Yeah, so those are the cases that I'm seeing.
Very good. What advice would you give to someone that's alone at home and struggling and don't know what to do? I mean, obviously, that person should be calling you up at your number, which is 592-676-8557. But apart from that, what advice would you give to an individual that's really having a hard time at home?
First, step would be to reach out for help. I know that it's very hard to reach out for help for a lot of people when they're going through challenging times. One of the things that happen is that most persons, when they are challenged or when they're experiencing mental health issues, they tend to withdraw from the persons that care most about them. So I would advise that person to reach out for support, as difficult as it might be, because isolating yourself during that time is actually doing more harm than good. So the best course of action is to speak to someone who you're comfortable with, let them know that you're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole hashtag right now, it's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people need to know that it's okay to struggle. We all have moments where we go through challenges and, life is really hard. So I think people understanding that it's okay to go through that journey where you're not okay and you need help.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no shame in reaching out for help. But you have to have the courage to take that first step and let someone know that you're struggling, because, that's the only way you're going to get support. So I would advise that person to reach out to someone that they trust,
mm-hmm.
Get the support that they need.
Very nice. Someone that's in a relationship and they're noticing change in their partners, what are some of the signs you can look for to realize that, what, my partner's in trouble?
I would say look at consistency, because if you've been in a relationship for a very long time, you start to, what your partner's patterns are. And if you see that the person, their patterns have changed and, they're displaying dysfunctional behavior or problematic behavior, then that would be a sign that something is wrong, especially if the person is withdrawing. Let's say it's a mental health issue like depression or anxiety. You will notice signs in terms of their eating pattern, their sleeping pattern, if they're withdrawing, if the person was a good communicator before, and then now you see their communication pattern has changed, you're not communicating, they're keeping things to themselves, then that could be a sign that something is wrong. And this goes for everyone, even those who are not in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
When you know someone and you know their pattern and you see their patterns have changed, yeah, that would indicate that something might be amiss. So it's okay to find out, to explore, to ask them the questions. If you feel comfortable, is something wrong? Is something bothering you? Do we need to talk about something? Rather than making the assumption that, you think what it is, it's okay to ask the questions, depending on the relationship that you have with the person.
Okay, very good. Nice explanation. I really, really appreciate that. Husband and wife scenario. Husband comes home and tells the wife, I'm getting a divorce. I'm sick and tired of you. I can't take this anymore. How would you deal with something like that, Miss Amsterdam?
Well, I would ask them to share their experiences, because before it comes to that point where the husband is saying, I want to get a divorce, there must have been signs leading up to that. So I'd want to hear the husband's experience. I'd want to hear the wife's experience and see if they can, work out what those challenges are. Ultimately, it's up to the clients to decide whether they want to remain in the marriage or not. But it's important for them to explore all options and explore if they can come to a place of compromise. And then it's left to them, the decision that they would like to make.
Who should be the one initiating the call, the husband or the wife?
Any one of them, the husband or the wife, can initiate the conversation. But in most cases, actually, I had one couple where the husband initiated, well, not the husband, they weren't married, but they're common law. The guy initiated the counseling session. And actually, the girl didn't even know that he had sought counseling. So there's some cases where men take the initiative. And there's some cases where I've had cases also where more women than men have contacted me for couples therapy. So I think either party can initiate that conversation. I mean, if they really want to work on the relationship, if they want, to work out their issues, then they're gonna seek support.
What does mental health mean to you? I mean, everybody's talking about mental health. You put on the TV, it's talking about mental health, every single place, your workplace, this and that, churches all over. What is mental health? What is this mental health? For someone like me who doesn't know anything. What is mental health?
Well, mental health is basically, your thoughts and your emotions and all the factors that contribute to your well-being. So for instance, if you start having like really distressing thoughts, then we would say that, you are experiencing poor mental health, right? Mental health is really on a continuum, meaning that, your mental health can fall anywhere in between that continuum, based on the factors in your life. So you could have very poor mental health, or you can have a really healthy functioning, you could be really healthy functioning, right? You have good mental health, right? Or you could fall somewhere in between that, and that's based on social factors, that's based on genetics, that's based on biology. So you have to consider, all those things when you consider mental health. If you want to consider if you have good mental health, you can look at the factors in your life. What are the stressors in your life? What are happiness triggers? What did you get from your mom or your dad? What do you have built into you in your genes biologically, right? So what you get from your mom or your dad, the way you're made up biologically affects your mental health. Social factors affect your mental health, and your thoughts and your feelings are very important to you having good mental health. So if you have good thoughts, good feelings, if you can manage your thoughts, manage your feelings, if you can manage your thoughts and not have control, the distressing thoughts you have, or control how they impact on you or how they affect your life, then you'll be able to have good mental health. That's why it's very important to monitor your thoughts, monitor your emotions, and really recognize when you're having really distressing thoughts or really negative emotions. And then you want to look at where that's coming from, right? Because our thoughts and our feelings are very important to us, and they impact a lot on our ability to reach our full potential, to make decisions, to have good relationships with people. So it's very important to pay attention to your mental health.
Very nicely explained. I appreciate that.
But I should also say, in terms of mental health, what is important to look at is the duration and the severity of symptoms. There are days when let's say anxiety, for instance. Having anxiety is normal. It's actually good sometimes to have anxiety because it helps to motivate us to reach our goals, and it keeps us, on our toes, right? Because if there was no anxiety, if there was no stress, you might be under-motivated, demotivated, and won't be able to have that energy or that enthusiasm, to get things done. So in terms of looking at symptoms, it is important to look at how long you've been having the symptoms and the severity of your symptoms. So let's use the same example of anxiety. Let's say the anxiety, it's not like normal everyday anxiety where you have it, you feel it, but you can still function. If you have anxiety or anxiety disorder, and it keeps you from living your normal life, you can't function, you can't do the normal things that the average person would do. It affects you in terms of getting out of bed. You can't go to school, you can't go to work, you can't hang out with your friends. And that anxiety keeps you bound in a cage. Then that's something, that would verge on having a mental illness, right? Okay. And if it lasts for a long period of time, like let's say over 2 weeks minimum, then that you may have a mental illness and you need to seek support to find out if those symptoms are what it is.
Very nicely said. So, Miss Amsterdam, I know we've gone over the time. What's the difference between depression and mental health? I guess one is prolonged and one is for a short period. I'm not an expert, by the way. I'm just asking you. That's why I have you on the show. What's the difference?
Well, mental health is totally, I guess, different from depression. Depression is a clinically diagnosable disorder. And depression can indicate whether you have poor poor mental, if you have depression, that can indicate that you have poor mental health,
Mm.
right? Your mental health is basically your state of being, you know? Good mental health means that you're a fully functioning person, that you're able to accomplish, normal tasks, you're able to achieve your goals, you're resilient, you can bounce back quickly, and you're able to cope, right? That is like the state of your being, your mental health. But depression, if someone has depression, that means that they have poor mental health. That means that perhaps they weren't able to cope. They weren't able to be resilient. They weren't able to handle the challenges in life. That's why it developed into depression, right? So I guess that's the distinction I would make. I hope you understand that explanation.
I was never a good student. I was never a model student, but I guess the takeaway is that depression can lead to poor mental health.
Yes.
Very good. I think we'll leave it there, Ms. Amsterdam. It was a pleasure speaking with you today. I look forward to having you again on the show. You're loaded with knowledge, and I definitely will be calling you up, if not today, first thing tomorrow. 592-676-8557. Thank you, Ms. Amsterdam. On behalf of everyone on the Let's Talk show, I want to take this opportunity to thank you very much for being a part of your show. I know you have a lot of knowledge and experience, and I look forward to working again with you in the near future.
Thank you for having me, Andrew. It was really nice talking to you. I enjoyed the conversation.
Take care. Hopefully we'll do it again.